One of our early founders, actually, of CRA was William O'Toole, and he's from economics, and at that point, he was working as a salesman for a scrap dealer. I don't know if that's exactly right, but he's been involved in this business for over 50 years, as I have. And we're going to have William and his people from economics come up and talk now as our keynote speaker. So William, hit the mic. They got to take their trash with them, but they're really zero waste people.
Good morning, everyone. As Rick said, I'm William O'Toole, and he and I have been making trouble for 40 years, and I am not stopping today. So this is the first keynote you'll ever see with 3 people, probably, and this is also the first keynote you'll ever hear that has a prologue, which is impossible because it makes the whole thing too long. I told you I made trouble. So the prologue is this. What is in front of you is time capsules. The one on my left is 2024. That's associated with me. It's big and it takes a lot of trash. The one on my right is with Tina. And that's kind of, think about it, the year 2030. And the time capsule on the far right, 2040-ish maybe. We're not sure. We're not even sure if there's anything in it or what is in it. So you take it from there, and Rick and they're the dynamic duo, intergenerational dynamic duo of Laura Anthony and Rick Anthony. They've both been doing amazing things, and they've been doing the Zero Waste Symposium for over 10 years, and they just do it out of their heart. That's about what they get out of it, is it feeds their heart and it feeds our souls. When Laura had asked me, why don't you do a keynote? I said, okay. And I even had a title for it. It was called The Circular Economy, or Back to the Future. So then I started doing it, and I think I kind of went, geez, there must be like 6 different keynotes that have been done over the last 2 decades about circular economy. It's an old idea. It's as old as nature. That's the only model, and it's the only place that we can see, lean into the mic, that we can see in nature a system that's been running for a very, very long time, hundreds and millions of years, and it's completely circular economy. Nothing gets wasted, nothing gets produced that can't be used. Now, that was a pretty outrageous idea, and it was great, and everybody thought about it about 2 decades ago, and we've been talking about it ever since. I said, if I get up and talk about it one more time, I'm not sure I'm going to make a difference to myself either. So it's 2024. Now. It is now 2024. Circular economy is not an idea anymore. It's a necessity. We're done with talking about it. We have to do it. And that's why you've got 3 people up here. Because the 3 perspectives are going to be far better than 1 perspective. And we've got 1 person up here, the 23-year-old, who's going to live into that time frame of the one that we're not sure about. This is our only scary slide, and it's the only doom and gloom slide that I'm going to put up here, is if we recognize a clear and present danger, why is there so much confusion in inaction? So the 3 of us around tables, etc., Bella, myself, Tina, came up with the concept, we'll just call it the evolution of mentality. And it's February 2024, and right now, we live in a world that's based on fear and scarcity. We have self-imposed limits. There are times where we feel overwhelmed, even paralyzed. We run on competition and reaction. The competition is get mine now. And in order to get mine now, I've got to have power over a thing that gets in my way. You move to the right here, and you say February 2030. we need to really be going pretty strongly collaboration and abundance. Just swap out fear and scarcity for collaboration and abundance. We become motivated, excited, ready for action, cooperation, we're proactive, and we succeed together. It's not alone. There's no one at the top of the hill with the radar guns for those of the folks on the bottom rioting. It's power within. We're each of us going to have to get more confident, more secure, find the places where we're afraid, and find the places that we can work with each other, even though at times it is difficult to collaborate and work together. So we got 3 people here, and this is our collective statement. And we're going to put this up on the web, et cetera. And if we can get, 4 or 5, that'd be great. Sign up as the time goes through. So, a shift from a fear-based mindset to one of collaboration and abundance is fundamental to unlocking the full potential of the principles of a circular economy. A circular economy. My perspective, where did I start the journey? I was a surfer. It was 1960s. Orange County had more oranges still than people. And about mid-60s, I noticed that the tide pools are dying off. A couple of years later, I had a friend that was working at the San Diego Zoo, and she was working on habitat research for the mountain gorilla, which is, unfortunately for it, on the border between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's a place also where the world's only and richest sources of tantalum is, and tantalum is in all our cell phones, every one of them. And these are kids that live also very close to that border and that conflict zone. I was doing something here at a women's cooperative with compost and kind of generating a small self-economy. And these kids finally started trickling down one by one. And they were coming out of the culverts and drainage ditches because that's where they live. It's a circular economy. What we do here in every one of our pockets with our cell phones affects these kids. And I think we can do with a circular economy, with abundance, without fear, talking to each other. We can get there. My commitment: document, communicate, and disseminate the unfolding story of the circular economy. This has got to not fall in and out of news cycles. It has to be a continuing. It has to be up front. Our achievements have to be magnified so we don't lose it. Because it is now, clock's running. We can't talk about a conference 40 years from now about how we need a circular economy. It's just now we start. And that's why the next person's here, as opposed to me, is Tina.
Different height. So this quote has always resonated with me. We cannot win this battle to save species and environment without forging an emotional bond between ourselves and nature as well, for we will not fight to save what we do not love. I can't pinpoint a specific time where I decided I need to do everything I can to protect this planet. What I can recall is becoming absolutely obsessed with surfing, borderline addiction. And, typical for people who get bitten by the surf bug, it shaped everything I did in my life. I logically fell in love with the ocean, but unexpectedly, I really fell in love with myself through surfing. As a young girl growing up, very apprehensive, raised by parents who were deeply traumatized by the Vietnam War, navigating an American culture at school and a Vietnamese culture at home. I never knew I could grow up to own my own identity so fiercely and so confidently that the oceans would open up this playground for me to develop such a profound sense of conviction and fearlessness to lead an impactful life. I didn't know that surfing could heal me in ways that I didn't even know I needed to. It's the most beautiful relationship I've ever had. And I'm so humbled to know what it's like to love something so deeply, to care about something so strongly, and thus be so convicted to protect it. In my lifetime, I've seen us move from global warming denial, climate change, climate justice, climate crisis. As millennials, we're very well aware of all the things that we should be doing. Eat less meat, recycle, switch out your light bulbs, get another hydro flask. The hydro flasks aren't going to save the world alone. How is it that some of my closest friends, some of my closest social groups are so clearly informed of our current state of climate emergency and yet are not immediately scrambling to reconfigure their careers to be a part of the solution? How is it that it's so obvious to me that we all need to be stewards of this earth, and that there's no other way to be? And because I'm standing in front of this group here today, I wonder how many other people get very desperate and frustrated and judgmental of their friends, like I do. This is me in the depths of my eco-anxiety and despair, in the depths of fear and scarcity. This is also me in that same exact state, because it's not like the fear goes away. The ability to find genuine enthusiasm, excitement, playfulness, cheerfulness while cleaning up miles of microplastics on a beautiful, pristine beach is a gift. Because no great thing was ever achieved without enthusiasm. It's a gift that I leverage to make the biggest impact that I can make. To show others that whilst this work is extremely hard, it should also be fun. And I look at the next generation and I'm so inspired by their bold and tenacious focus on action. It's my duty to inspire them as much as they inspire me. And so I look forward to hearing what inspires Bella.
Thank you, Tina and William. Hello, everyone. I am the 23-year-old. Education has made my... Oh, thank you. Education has made my world astronomically bigger. The first time I had learned about environmental issues wasn't until a high school environmental science class. As someone who spent their whole life by the beach, learning about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch for the first time in a classroom absolutely devastated me. I realized I was contributing to a problem I knew nothing about. I learned about Easter Island and microplastics scattered all over the beach, and I realized that pollution and waste was like a never-ending treadmill, just going into the ocean, with no foreseeable future that this point source would stop. I also think, for other Gen Zers in the room, that my generation was the first one where teachers would put the human population clock on the projector in the classroom, and everyone would shrink back in fear. How are we going to do this? That felt so complacent. My senior year in high school, I took a marine ecology class, and we learned about hundreds of shells, algae, and marine organisms about the Sea of Cortez in Baja, Mexico. It was then that I learned that every single living thing had a function, a place, a meaning in the world. And at the end of this course, we had the privilege of going 16 hours drive into Sea of Cortez. We slept on the beach with nothing but the stars, each other, and the ocean. And I got to meet almost all of the marine organisms that I had learned about for months. I had memorized these organisms by name, and I got to meet them. It was an output. I got to put my knowledge to application. I developed a sense of awe for the first time. I saw this magical intricacy of every living thing around me. And it was then that I was sent on this deep dive to find my meaningful place in the world as well, just like everything I had learned about. So I had this peak of knowledge, and I continued my studies, and the motivation to act was derived from this knowledge that I had learned, but also with this inevitable fear of the future that awaits me. As essential as this side of education was for my understanding of the world and to make a difference, I needed to know why humans behaved the way that they did. There's such a clear source, there's such a clear issue. Why are we the way that we are? Why are things happening the way that they do? So I took a humanities approach in furthering my education to learn more about this thought process. I learned about the church forest in Ethiopia. I learned about the sweatshops in Bangladesh. I learned about the dome on Marshall Islands that contains so much nuclear waste with the sea levels rising. That felt heavy. Why are things the way that they are? Why do we trash the home that we live in, the one that we rely on so much? So I made it my mission to bridge this gap for people, as well as myself. But this process for me was reactive, fearful, and I felt like, and I do feel like, I'm always in this rush to beat this timer in my head. There are still so many people to talk to, so many issues to fix. This fear had me chained to complacency, and it was kind of addicting to stay there in that fear. It was isolating, and I was exhausted, and I still am exhausted. This processing of my desire to action, this paralysis of fear, and my finding my place in the world burnt me out. I realized I wasn't really present in a lot that I did, even if it was for a good cause. And I realized this panic mindset was extremely counterproductive and harmful to myself and to others around me. Here is a picture of my grandparents. Some of the biggest inspirations in the whole world to me. I can't help but think that their love for their family was connected to their sense of place in the world. They were never in a rush or fearful. The two of them were the biggest travel nerds that I have ever seen. They loved nature like no other. It's hit me recently that I want to live more like them, but why does it feel so far away? And when I look at this picture, I'm stricken with the realization that my life in the past 5 years hasn't felt as rich as I want it to be. This stretch for the future took me away from seeing the true beauty of the world a little bit, took me away from friendships, family, relationships, even my health, and I'm only 23. I know that the overall timeline for the betterment of the world is this big, but my timeline is inevitably smaller, but my generation feels the pressure to bridge the gap with the past, present, and future, and that is so overwhelming. We feel the pressure now more than ever. It's like this loose, looming worry over our heads a lot of the time. We are still limited, even my generation, no matter how tenacious we are. But even so, I'm going to spend the rest of my life contributing to this mission that I feel so passionately for. But I need to do it at a pace that's sustainable for myself and for others around me as well. Working through and healing from this fearful mindset made me realize that time is most scarce. Times like these are most scarce to rest, relax, enjoy, and love on others well and deeply. We make the most difference and influence on those around us, not just by what we do, even if it's for a good cause, but how we live and treat others in the environment as well. So, my commitment is to live by slowing down, to be proactive instead of reactive. We must prevent and prepare for these things. It demands us to slow down. I'm learning that even in the sustainability realm, there's these capitalistic demands. Throw everything back. If you have anything bad that's toxic or not sustainable, throw it in the trash and start new. Buy everything new again. But that doesn't feel right either. When we live in a circular economy mindset, we use what we already have to its full advantage, and we're able to step back, take a look at everything that we have, use it again, be creative when we slow and when we rest. When we do this, nothing goes to waste, just like our experiences, just like our time together. We each have eyes for certain people and certain environmental issues. We don't have to do everything if each of us does something. And again, it's not what we do, but how we do it.
I'll just wrap it up really quick. Just a couple conclusions here. During this process, we truly had to collaborate. We cried, we laughed, we fought, we hashed it out, we empathized. Collaboration forces us to humanize the climate crisis. We shared with you all individual moments of realization, heartache, growth, and hope, and we choose to look at every moment as special because when we do that, we create a feeling of abundance and people feed off of that abundance. So our emotions, like Bella said, are like materials of circular economy. We want to put all of it to use. Each experience empowers, builds foundations, informs evolutions, fuels conviction, and enables unique contributions and impactful roles. That's what we're doing, and that's what you are all doing. Thank you.